Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I decided I wanted to play a Pokemon game the wrong way, so I asked myself, can you beat Pokemon Platinum without evolving anything? First, for the ground rules, I can catch however many Pokemon I want, but if they evolve, I need to release them. Basically, I just can't evolve them myself, so any wild Pokemon that is evolved is fair game. Also, no items in battle. Held items are fine, and it's switch battle style. This journey started out, like many others, Barry running full speed into me for no reason. The thud. I picked Turtwig as my starter. He's good against the first gym, and in the first rival battle, it looked like we were gonna win, but then we missed a tackle and we lost. I called him Turd because he lost me $40. Now I can get Pokeballs, so I decided to catch some new team members. I caught a Badoo for HMs and 2 Shinx. The first one didn't have Intimidate, which I thought could be useful. I also found a Badoo on the way to the gym, which could potentially be useful. At this point, I was ready for the second rival battle. This time, Turd KO'd Chimchar. Afterwards, I went to find a Starly, and I legitimately had to search for one because I never randomly encountered a Starly. And once I got to Orberg, I was ready to find the gym leader in the mine, and I realized I could find Onix in this mine, and Onix is pretty strong. So, the first one I found, Badoo Okos. So I found another one and named it Dwayne. Before I headed to the gym, I picked up a Ponyta for the up-and-coming grass gym, but after that, I was on to the gym. Now, after battling the gym trainers, Turd was level 13, Badoo was 12, and I thought Roxhias was level 12, so I was ready for an easy battle. Which it was for the most part. Turd took out the Geodude and Onix quickly. They did get Stealth Rocks up, but that's fine. I was going to one-shot the Cranidos. Nope, Cranidos leered and headbutted, KOing Turd. I had no choice but to switch in and out of Shinx to lower its attack. I did until only Dwayne was left, and he was able to, at level 9 with a -4 attack, level 14 Cranidos, secure the victory. After defeating Rourke, he gave us the Stealth Rock TM, which I planned to save for the Elite Four. Next, I had to battle 2 Team Galactic grunts with Dawn, which was an easy battle. Then I was on to Valley Windworks. I was a little nervous because the Purugly is notoriously difficult, but I thought Dwayne would have a good chance of winning. The Zubat went down easily, but it did poison Dwayne. Then the Purugly used Fake Out, and that plus Poison lowered Dwayne's health significantly. Luckily, I was able to get a Screech off before Dwayne went down. I only had one Mon left with a high enough level to stand a chance, Ponyta. So I used Intimidate Switch strat again and got the Purugly to -4 attack. Then Fire Horse was able to take it out with 2 Flame Wheels. It had lived the first one with only a sliver of HP, but we won. And now, because I had been given some honey, I decided I'd go to the trees and hope for a 5% Heracross, because Heracross is kinda cool. Fighting types are good. And afterwards, I met up with Cheryl, quickly made the way through the forest. My way through the forest, my Starly started to evolve, but I put a stop to it because we're not doing any of this evolving stuff. That's just not how Pokemon works, no evolving. I was ready for the gym, I was confident that my level 20 Starly and Ponyta would just destroy the gym. Her Turtwig went down to 2 hits, but not before setting up Reflect, so I switched into Ponyta so I could use my stronger special moves, and her Cherubi was no problem. It did set up Leech Seed, but that was easily fixed by switching out to Starly. And I thought about setting up double teams, but the Roserade had Magical Leaf. It never misses. So I just wing attacked until Starly fainted, and wrapped up the battle with Fire Horse. I had secured my second gym badge, and Cynthia congratulated me with the HM cut, allowing me to attempt to catch Rotom off-screen between 8 and 4, and I did catch the Rotom. I named it Sombra, I spent a couple of days searching for Heracross and really had no luck. I caught an Apom because it Baton Pass could be good in the future. And a Cherubi, because I thought it would be stronger than Badoo, but it isn't. For some reason, Cherubi is weaker than Badoo. It has a lower base stat total. Next, I added the Golbat that I found in the Oreburg Gate to my team because it was much stronger than Starly. Then I trained most of the team up to level 20. Afterwards, I went and cleared out the Galactic Hideout. Little trouble. Jupiter almost beat me with her Night Slashing Stun Tank, but Zubatman was able to take it out with a Wing Attack. Then I spent an unreasonable amount of time trying to find the Earthquake TM, which I found, luckily. Then I considered leveling Rotom up to 29 before Fantina so it would have a Ghost move, but I got kind of lazy and was like, this will be fine, we got this. So I went in without Ominous Wind and lost very quickly. So I got to level 29, got Ominous Wind, and swept the gym. And even got an Omni Boost in the process. With Sombra now level 30, I was confident I could beat Barry, and I was right. I swept right through Barry. Then I spent another day searching for Heracross, and still didn't find one. So I just gave up. I'm never gonna find a Heracross. But it was time for the fighting gym. I decided I needed to train Zubatman up, and it was really, really sad, because it wanted to evolve. Somehow, I maxed out Golbat's friendship without trying. You know how long it takes to max out friendship? An absurd amount of time. I also trained up to Ponyta in hopes it could take out the Lucario, and if it failed, I'd still have Sombra in the back ready to go. I sped through the route on the way to the gym. A double battle with two ace trainers nearly stopped me. They almost just completely swept me, but Sombra was able to come in and save me. With Zubatman, Firehorse, and Sombra all around level 30, I was ready for the gym. Zubatman took out the Meta-type. They did 50% of Machoke's health and tanked another Rock Tomb. Somehow. But I was afraid we might not outspeed since -2 from Rock Tomb, so I sacrificed Shinx again, came back in to finish it off. So I knew I outsped. Now I was confident Lucario would go down easily, but it outsped and killed Golbat before it got any damage off. I sent in Firehorse, went for the Fire Spin for residual damage, and it did 50% and paralyzed. Thought I might get off of Flame Wheel, but it Drain Punch and restored all the damage I did to it. It was all up to Sombra. It was confused, but it quickly broke out. It also resisted Ominous Wind, which I forgot. I was getting low, and it got 2 attack boosts from Metal Claw already. I had one choice. I needed to confuse it, and I needed it to hit itself at least once. By some miracle, it did hit itself once, and because of the attack boost, it did massive damage to itself, and the next shockwave took it out, securing the 3rd badge. Once I left the gym, Dawn wanted me to help her get her Pokédex back from Team Galactic, and they were pushovers like always. Then Looker came by, helped me find Fly. I quickly made my way to Pastoria, because the Great Marsh had a couple of permanent team members I needed to find. I wanted a Drapion for Toxic Spikes, a Grass-type for Wake, and a Quagsire for better coverage. Drapion is a binocular Pokemon that is fairly rare in the Great Marsh, but I didn't find one. I was able to get 2 Quagsires and a Tangela, though. I trained Tangela, Quagsire, and Rotom up to about level 37. Quagsire learns Earthquake via level up, so it was nice. And I taught Tangela Grass Knot, so I could sweep the gym. But first I had to defeat Barry. I led with Sombra and he easily took out the Staravia. Then, for some reason, he sent in Buizel. I obviously one-shot it. Now, for some reason, I decided I could beat a Roselia with a Skorupi. I couldn't. So I took out the Roselia and Monferno with Tangela. I was ready for the gym, and because I knew Wake led with Gyarados, I led with Sombra and took it out with little trouble. He sent in his Ace Floatzel next, and I sent in Tangela. And almost lost because Ice Fang, but I was able to take it out. All that was left was Quagsire. and it went down to one grass knot. After leaving the gym, there was a very large explosion in the Great Marsh, so I tracked down and defeated the Team Galactic Grunt and sent him off. Then Cynthia gave me the secret potion to move the Psyducks blocking my path, and I went to Celestic Town. Once I got to Celestic Town, I had to fight Cyrus, but he was a pushover, like most Team Galactic people. I got the HM Surf, so I now could get 2 new team members. First, I had to go to Fuego Ironworks. I caught a Magmar, but realized later it had a plus attack nature, and all of its special fire moves were a lot stronger. So, I caught another Magmar, and it had the same nature. So I caught a third Magmar, named it Adamant, and luckily it wasn't Adamant. So I kept it. And the second member I needed was a Steelix. Why Steelix? How is Steelix useful? I don't know. Steelix is cool. I just wanted a Steelix. So I went to Iron Island, partnered up with Riley, and the first encounter with him was an Onix and a Steelix. All I had to do was kill Riley's Pokemon so he didn't kill the Steelix. On the turn that I killed the Lucario, he got the Steelix to like a little red sliver of health and paralyzed it, which was amazing luck, and I caught it and named it Iron Giant. And I was ready for the gym battle. Battled all of Byron's gym trainers off screen because there was no good place to train up Magmar, who was really my best bet for this gym, but I did have Earthquake if need be. I one-shot the Magneton and Steelix with Flamethrower, and two-shot the Bastiodon with Earthquake from Steelix. Afterwards, I went to the library to talk with the professor. There was another large explosion. A lot of explosions. I went to the lake and beat up Team Galactic again. Then I had to help Dawn beat up Mars, which, again, an easy battle. Now, I had to make a long trek to Snow Point City. But luckily I had the speed up button. And it's still so mind-bogglingly slow to run through the snow, even with the speed up button. On the way there, I was able to find the last shard needed to go to a move tutor and teach Quagsire Ice Punch, because I was hoping once we get to the Elite Four, Quagsire would take out the Garchomp. Then with Magmar, I was confident I could destroy Candace's team. I one-shot her first 3 Mons, and it was only the Frostlass left. All I had to do was hit one Flamethrower. It outsped and double-teamed once. I missed. In the next turn, they double-teamed again, but I hit the Flamethrower, and it was another one-shot. I had secured my 7th gym badge, and cleared out the Galactic Building, and was ready to fight Cyrus. I led with Rotom, but he led with Sneasel, so I had to switch into Magmar, but Ice Punch did nearly 50% of my health. I stayed in, lived a slash with 15 HP, and killed with Flamethrower. He sent in Crobat, so I sent in Rotom, and he confused me, but I broke through, got a crit Shockwave, and left him with just a little sliver of health. So he full restored. I Shockwaved again, 2 more times, getting it a little low on health, and I sent in Golbat to sacrifice to get something in safe. But my level 31 Golbat took out the level 44 Crobat with 1 fly. His last Pokemon was Honchkrow, so I sent in Sombra, hoping it outsped and did 50% with Shockwave before going down. I sent in Quagsire and killed with 2 Ice Punches. Cyrus gave me the Master Ball and ran off into the mountains. I went to free the Lake Trio, but didn't realize I needed to battle Saturn after that. And the only Pokemon I had left at full health were Steelix and Tangela. I was able to take out the Golbat with a couple of Ice Fangs, but I got the Toxicroak to about 1/3 HP before it took out Steelix. Magmar came in and finished off. Luckily, his last Pokemon was a Bronzor, which went down to a Flamethrower. It was time to climb Mount Coronet. I decided I wanted to get my last team member before going up, so I grabbed a Tentacruel because it did get Toxic Spikes, which I had to go to a move relearner to get. I trained the whole team up to level 48, and I had to leave one team member behind, and I decided Tangela was probably the best one to leave behind, because grass doesn't match up well against flying and poison. But I made my way to the top, battling all the grunts along the way. And finally, it was time for a double battle with Barry. Barry's Munchlax was so completely useless. And I only hit the Munchlax on the first turn because I wanted to see if Bronzors had Heat Proof or Levitate. They had Levitate, so I really just attacked Barry. But I did finally take out one of the Bronzors with a crunch, but the stun tank came in and one-shot Steelix with Flamethrower, and I don't like to think about where Flamethrower comes from stun tank. Then Barry's Infernape took out the other Bronzor, before going down to an Aerial Ace from a Purugly. And Tentacruel eventually took out the Purugly with a Sludge Bomb. I wanted to get the battle down to a 2v1, so I tried to take out Mars' last Pokemon, but the Tentacruel went down. I went into Rotom to take out the Golbat, but Barry killed it with Aqua Jet, and the stun tank took Rotom down with one Night Slash. Then, me being a dumb idiot, tried to Psychic a stun tank, forgetting it was a Dark type. Next turn, I took it out with a Flamethrower. Barry and I had secured the win after taking out the Golbat with a Flamethrower Iron Tail combo. To be honest, that double battle was a lot tougher than I thought it would be, and I came out with only 2 Pokemon left alive. Cyrus was starting to do his whole, ooh, I'm gonna destroy the universe thing, cause I'm an emo guy. Then Girantina wasn't having it, so it brought him to the hellscape of the Distortion World. After wandering around for a while, I eventually found Cyrus and got ready for the final battle with him. I looked up his team before because it is a very difficult battle if you aren't ready, so I led with Quagsire hoping I could take out the Houndoom. I would have if he didn't full restore. Luckily, Tentacruel was able to take it out with a Bubble Beam on the next turn. Now Cyrus was about to send in Honchkrow, and if Rotom one-shots it, we were fine, but if it doesn't, it would definitely die to whatever dark move they have. By some miracle, we crit with Shockwave. Now, I don't know if it mattered, but it did matter to me. Sent in a Weavile, so I sent in Magmar, who got one shot by Night Slash, a crit Night Slash. Then I sent in Steelix because it was really my best bet due to its high defense, and I took it out with 2 Earthquakes. He sent in one of his scariest Pokemon next, Gyarados, and this Pokemon is really scary because it has Earthquake. But I didn't really have to worry about Earthquake because Rotom has Levitate. It is really, like, Rotom is weirdly good in Platinum. Like, better than you'd think it would be. Matches up well against a lot of gyms. I assumed I would one-shot with Shockwave, and I didn't. I have never regretted not getting a stronger move more, because the Gyarados crit Waterfall and killed my hopes of winning. I only had the low-level Barrel for HMs, Tentacruel, and Steelix, who would be devastated by Earthquake. Luckily, when I sent in Tentacruel hoping it could take out the Gyarados, this man full restored, but somehow when I Sludge Bombed, it poisoned. I thought on my next turn it would go down for sure, but somehow it lived a Giga Impact and was able to kill with Sludge Bomb the next turn. All that was left was his Crobat. Tentacruel was able to get it down to more than half before it went down. All I had left was my Steelix. I sent him in and took it out with 2 Ice Fangs. I defeated Cyrus. I couldn't believe I was able to win. It was so sure that I would lose after Rotom went down. I had to do one more thing before leaving the Distortion World, though. I needed to capture Girantina. I threw a quick ball at it, because I thought, maybe it'll work. And then I lowered its health to red to see if I could catch it in a Pokeball for the memes. But I couldn't, and I had 1 Pokemon left, so I just used the Master Ball and went back to my gym badges. The last gym was the Electric Gym, which I knew would be a complete wipe, because I have 2 Pokemon with Earthquake, and I was right. I swept Volkner with Steelix and Quagsire. Quagsire only took damage from a Focus Blast from Raichu, but other than that, Volkner was a pushover. After this battle, for some reason he said it was a fun battle, and I don't know what's fun about being swept by Earthquake, but at least he's not depressed anymore. There's one challenge left. the Elite Four. I plan to do all the Victory Road stuff off screen because it's very boring, and I needed to train my team up a lot. After making my way through Victory Road, I decided I wanted to get the Lucky Egg so training would go faster. It took 10 minutes for me to find the Lucky Egg somehow, but it took me an hour to find Black Sludge off Croguns. I don't know how I got so lucky with the Lucky Egg, but I was not lucky at all with Black Sludge, and that was very annoying. I got the team all up to level 57, and had 4 rare candies left, so I just got the Quagsire up to level 60 and Rotom up to 58. My final team for the Elite Four was Gerald the Tentacruel with Black Sludge and Toxic Spikes, Iron Giant the Steelix with Stealth Rocks and a Dread Plate, Adamant the Magmar with Psychic and the Mind Plate, Swampy the Quagsire with the Earth Plate and Ice Punch, Jelly the Tangela with the Meadow Plate and Grass Knot, and finally, Sombra the Rotom with Spell Tag and Charge Beam. I got ready to go into the Elite Four, and then Barry ran up behind me and wanted to have a battle. It was a really easy battle, because apparently his team is set for you to not be trained up for the Elite Four, so my team was a lot higher level, and it wasn't a very interesting battle. So I moved on to the first member of the Elite Four, Aaron, Master of Bug Types, who I easily demolished with Adamant. I decided to stay in on the Drapion and nearly got taken out by Cross Poison though with Adamant, but I made it through, and feeling good, I was ready to sweep Bertha with Grass Knot. Sadly, I got a low roll on the first Grass Knot, barely not taking out the Wish Cache. She sent in Gliscor, which I did have to switch into Quagsire to Ice Punch, and the rest of her team went down to 1 Grass Knot each. Feeling even more confident in myself, I ran into the battle with Flint and set up Toxic Spikes to ensure my victory. Then I was able to take out the Houndoom with Gerald, and he sent in Infernape. And I thought, hey, we're Water type, we should be fine. No, it has Earthquake, and it just destroyed me. So I sent in Quagsire and took out the Infernape with some help from poison damage, and easily beat the rest of his team. I was ready for Lucian, and he led with Mr. Mime. And I led with Iron Giant, hoping to get Stealth Rocks up. I did, but Mr. Mime set up Light Screen and Reflect before I could take it out, and then he sent in his ace Gallade, who I severely underestimated. I sent in Sombra to kill, but because of Light Screen, Shadow Ball did less than half, and my second Shadow Ball did nothing because of the Citrus Berry, and then it takes me out with a Psycho Cut. So I sent in Adamant to Fire Blast, but it did nothing because the Light Screen and Reflect, and it one-shot me with Stone Edge. So I sent in Quagsire, because I was like, hey, he doesn't have anything for me, but he had Leaf Blade, so it just one-hit me, and then I assumed I would just lose from there, so I just sent in Jelly, who did, like, weirdly well, because it did an insane amount of damage with Power Whip, and then took the hits from Gallade just somehow, because apparently Tangela has high defense. I was finally able to take out the Gallade with a Tangela, and it was down to a 3v3. I still didn't have much of hope for winning because I really only... none of my Pokemon really at full health. But I was able to take out the Espeon, but it did cost me. Jelly was down, and Gerald was too low to be useful. So Alakazam took out Gerald, and it was just Iron Giant at half health left against 2 Pokemon. Somehow, he survived an Energy Ball and took out the Alakazam, living with 10 HP. I had a little hope left. He sent in Bronzong. Now, if the Bronzong didn't have Levitate, I would win with Earthquake. But, if it did have Levitate, I would definitely lose. So I went for Earthquake, and it had Levitate. Now I know I could have gone for Crunch, but Crunch never would have one-shot the Bronzong. So I had to go for Earthquake. I quickly sped through the other Elite Four members again, having a much closer battle with Flint than last time, but I was ready for Lucian again. I led with Sombra, hoping that I could set up with Charge Beam on the Mr. Mime, but I missed 2 Charge Beams in a row. The Mr. Mime Psychicked and got me into red, So at that point, I knew I had lost. And then I did, so I had to start over again. I led with Gerald to get Toxic Spikes up. I did get up double Toxic Spikes, and I let Gerald go down to send in Iron Giant to finish off the Mr. Mime. Glade took out Jelly, but Sombra was able to come in and finish the job. He sent in Espeon, which went down to a Shadow Ball, but Sombra took a large chunk of damage in the process. I Shadow Balled the Bronzong and it took me out with Psychic. After messing around and trying to put it to sleep and one full heal, I was down to Iron Giant and Adamant. Adamant took out the Bronzong, and all that was left was Alakazam. I stayed in so it would take more poison damage and I went for Fire Blast, assuming I would faint, and it went for Psychic, and somehow we were both alive at about a third health, and I assumed it would kill me next turn with a Psychic, but it went for Focus Blast and missed. And I took it out with Hidden Power Steel plus poison damage. It was finally time for the champion battle, Cynthia. She led with Spiritomb and I led with Iron Giant because I assumed it couldn't do much to me. I outsped and set up Stealth Rocks and took very little damage in the process. I got it into red and she full restored. I went for an Earthquake, and she switched into Togekiss, which took me out with an Aura Sphere. I sent in Sombra, who outsped, and one-shot with Discharge. She sent in Spiritomb, and I was able to take it out with Gerald. Then she sent in Garchomp, so I switched in Swampy and yawned to make sure that if we went down, so did the Garchomp. I knew I could take 2 Dragon Rushes. I went for an Ice Punch, and it did about 2/3. It fell asleep the next turn, and I was able to kill it with an Ice Punch the next turn, without it waking up. I knew I could win now. I sent in Adamant against the Roserade, and one-shot with Fire Blast. She sent in Milotic, I switched in Jelly, went for Grass Knot. They Ice Beamed, and we lived with 2 HP and got it down to about a 4th health with Grass Knot. It took me out the next turn, and I sent in Sombra and took it out with a Charge Beam for the boost. All that was left was Lucario. I went for Shadow Ball, but it resisted, because again, I forgot that Lucario resists Ghost, and we were at 34 HP, and I thought it resisted both Shadow Ball and Discharge. I just went for Discharge hoping it would paralyze. But apparently Steel doesn't resist Electric, and it got it down pretty low. And it was like almost 1. And Adamant just needed to land 1 hit, and it would go down and we would win. Adamant somehow outsped the Lucario and killed with a flamethrower. I was officially the champion. I actually really enjoyed this challenge. I think I might try Radical Red sometime with only flying types. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time.